All right. So, hey, everybody. This is John DiMartino with the Crypto Corner with Jayse. Jayse currently has the Cosmic Origins and Conscious Crypto programs that we'll go more into. And I wanted to welcome Jayse, as well as everybody who's going to start, watching these videos. I think it's going to be important as we move forward in the landscape that we're in. And this is recorded. But we will be going live, right, Jayse? We're going to be going live every other Tuesday. So every other Tuesday at 10 a.m. in the morning. And that's how it'll be from now on. And so just a little bit about me, and then I'm going to hand it over to Jayse, and he can introduce himself a little bit more. But my name, John DiMartino, and my background really is in finance. I was a financial advisor on Wall Street throughout the 90s and through the 2000s. I ran a lot of the bank programs for the state of Nevada. And what really woke me up to, first started precious metal and then got me more comfortable going into crypto, was in 2008. My bank went out of business, and I was out over the state of Nevada for Colonial Bank. And when that bank went out of business during that time, it was really eye-opening because, gold did really well during that time when my 401k was down, 40, 50% like most people's. And around, a little bit after that, when crypto came out, and it started to really blow up, but so many people didn't understand it. And so as I moved forward, I moved out of the traditional investment, in the markets and stuff. And I started to sell precious metal, gold, silver, and it really got me into that type of looking into anything that would be like that. And so crypto really started to, be more and more prevalent in my world, but I didn't understand. And so one of the things I want to do is really bring, kind of demystify everything that people think is so complex about it, and which is why it's great having Jayse on the show, because he really is like 100% of the correct information and can really simplify it for you. But it is confusing. Anyone who's my age, anyone say between 45 on up, and you do have some confusion or you're reluctant, this is for everybody, because we are moving into this direction. We are moving into an environment that you need to protect yourself. And so, the experience I bring is really diverse, and the experience that Jayse brings, I think it'll really kind of put a fine point on the spear, and really be something that would be important for you, for anyone listening, moving forward. So that's a little bit about me. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it over to Jayse. If you want to tell him a little bit about what you're doing and why you're doing it, that would be great.
Yeah, it's so funny. This is going to be such a fun show because we really do come from such different backgrounds, but have arrived in the same place of this crypto realm and, this kind of financial awakening realm. For myself, I had no background in traditional finance at all. I went to school for aerospace engineering and was starting to go that route, and then ended up dropping out near the end and in my 5th year, actually, because I was so disillusioned with that world, and I didn't want to make weapons. I didn't want to be a part of the kind of that corporate system. And I saw so much of what was going on behind the scenes. So I left that world, and I was pretty opposed to crypto for right up until 2020. I thought crypto was going to be the kind of basically what we know as the CBDCs, the central banking digital currencies, which we're going to get into later. But that my fear was kind of with the fear around that they were going to be like tools of financial enslavement, basically, for people. And so I just kind of stayed away from all crypto. And I also kind of just lumped everything in with Bitcoin and Ethereum, which I think most people also do as well, who aren't a part of the world. They, it all kind of gets lumped in that one category. And we're going to go into that later too, I think. But basically one day, somebody that I was close to told me about this crypto called XRP, and I had never heard of it before. And they told me it was at 17 cents. And for some reason, I just felt really compelled to get some. And it was the first time that I ever considered buying any kind of crypto. And I went out and I did it the next day. And basically, over the next few months, I started to get sucked into that world and really just deep diving every day, like doing the research, trying to understand it. Because what was communicated to me about XRP that I ended up learning later was that it was basically the anti-establishment project. So these are all things I think we're going to dive deeper later. But
without a doubt.
Yeah, that's how I got drawn into it. I was on this path of wanting to find the answer to so many of the crises in the world and the things that are going on and the things that we're waking up and are disillusioned to in the world. And it seemed like this XRP and crypto was going to be like a fundamental part of providing financial freedom to people. And I was like, I want to be on board with that. So I basically kind of taught myself for the next year. And after about a year, I had people reaching out to me being like, hey, can you teach me this? Like, you seem pretty good at it. Like, I'll pay you to teach me. So I was doing one-on-one sessions with people and helping people out. And then after about a year of doing that, I started an online academy, which you're a part of. And that's called Conscious Crypto Academy. And that's where we're teaching people all about how to use these new digital assets, cryptocurrency, understanding the fundamentals and the tech side of it. So
I don't want to interrupt you, but I got to say what's really great about that is the videos that they're not like tremendously like long, but they're shorter. So it's a great way to do it, because some people they can lose you with, they go through such long, there's so much information, you're still confused, but it's like one wallet at a time. Adam, it's really done. I don't know if that was strategic. If you did that on purpose, very, very smart. If you didn't, I was very, very lucky, because that is a great way to do it. But yeah, it's a great way. I got to commend you on that, because it held my attention and it actually taught me.
Yeah, nice. That's good feedback. Thank you. Yeah, it was a little bit of both, I'd say. I realized, like you're saying, especially in today's world with people's attention spans, that it's hard to get someone to focus on something for like an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours or more, especially if it's like demanding technical information. So yeah, we try to break it down into like 10, 15-minute videos. And basically we lay out all the fundamental conceptual information first, teach you all about the space and how it works, what is the technology and all that kind of stuff. And then we dive into the technical tutorials, which actually walk you through each step of the process and show you how to do it. And I literally will do it on my phone and record it, and narrate over it, and then you just follow along. So it's been really successful. And our kind of big vision is that we're creating this network of conscious awakening individuals, people that are on their awakening path and their spiritual path, who are feeling guided to investing in cryptocurrency. And we're creating this network of what I think is going to be a really powerful international group that we're going to be able to tap into each other's resources one day when this money really kicks off. People are now millionaires, maybe billionaires, and the goal is to then be able to co-create some really cool things in the world together. And so one of the things I've noticed is almost everybody coming into my program has some kind of idea of like what they want to do in the world, what service they would give to humanity if they had $1 million, 10 million, 100 million, $1 billion in their bank account all of a sudden. And everyone's got some idea, which is really cool to see. And I think that's the big picture for where we're headed, is like unlimited creative freedom for humanity.
Yeah. And I think, what's funny is the first thing I thought of as I was going through it is, and this is just the way my mind works, I'm the same. I'm always in, for some reason, service to others. Even before I was doing well, as soon as I started to learn it, the first thing I thought of, people my age, for me to kind of sit out, sit on the sideline and not do anything because I didn't understand. The first thing I thought when I started to like get some of the concepts is, wow, I wonder if I could help other people that, how do I get this out to help get other people involved, because everyone needs to know this. So it just, and I think you attract that with what you put out. I think it's, just like that, the over consciousness or whatever you want to call it up there. I think, you know, you attract what you are.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that you are, you know, I would never think I would be in a program like that, to, you know, because I always think I would, like you, I'd teach myself, but I
Yeah.
didn't. And how I came to you, you know, and you know, went through it. I think you attract, you know, you're a service individual. You're looking to do what's good, even when, you know, you have to be smart to do any type of engineering or any of that type of stuff. I mean, and that's a lot of work you put in to get there, and realizing that you don't want to do anything to be destructive, you know, and you want it's in service of helping other people. And this is going to be, I think, the biggest way people could be helped, because really through finance, that's how you liberate people. And people, they're not in control, but they're not being controlled by overlords. They're being controlled by, and I think if we're being controlled by ourselves and by our consciousness, I think we, just by nature, I think we'll help each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's great, which is why I'm ecstatic that we're going to be doing this,
Yeah.
and putting the message out there. So what we'll do is to, you know, to create like a baseline, for everybody. And so if there's going to be anybody who's a little more advanced, bear with us. We want to get a baseline of, so if you had to put down, you know, kind of a definition of what crypto is,
Yeah.
cryptocurrency, also, if you can put in, you know, like say Bitcoin, because everyone thinks Bitcoin is crypto, but
Yeah.
so, you know, just kind of, you know, what a baseline where we're starting from, so we can build from there, and you know, build a strong foundation for everybody.
Totally. Yeah. So I think, if to put it really simply in a way that excuse me, in a way that all people could understand, I think the main value and technology and idea behind crypto is it is decentralized digital money.
Mm.
So, you know, right now, when you have money in the bank, you know, mostly everyone is using digital money right now anyway, right? Like hardly anybody pays for things with cash.
It's like, yeah, like
You,
95% digital.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then you have, as you know, like fractional reserve banking, where they don't have to keep the full amount of reserves that they have on the balance sheet. So if everyone were to
Mhm.
try to pull their money out, you know, that money doesn't exist, and all of a sudden you have a big collapse. So we need
Silicon
a,
Valley Bank.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So we need a solution to that, and that's like what crypto is. Crypto is the decentralized digital money that is run by the people for the people, and it
Mm.
takes us back to, I think, like the original like value of, say, the barter system, and the original usage of silver and gold and coins, and
Mm.
where the money that you're using has value within itself. You know, with gold, it has intrinsic value. With silver, it has intrinsic value. Now we're using paper, and then now we're using digital money that isn't even backed by the paper, and the paper is not backed by anything. So it's so removed from the source of the value, right? So crypto has value, or as we call it in the crypto community, utility within
Mm.
itself. So it's each crypto has a different type of utility, and that utility is what gives it value. So you know, you were talking about Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the crypto that most people think about when they think of cryptocurrency, because it was the
Right.
first, it's the biggest one, it's still the biggest one right now, it's the most popular, and it was the original. So I think Bitcoin was created in 2010, I think, right around there. And basically, it was created anonymously by this figure or this group that calls themselves Satoshi Nakamoto. And
Absolutely.
there was actually a new documentary that came out on HBO that I haven't watched yet, that they're supposedly identifying who this figure is. But there's constantly people trying to, you know, figure out
Take
who
credit.
Satoshi is. Yeah, exactly. Credit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah, who?
theories
Yeah.
say from the government itself, potentially. Some people think it came out of one of the intelligence agencies. There was a clip of DHS, Homeland Security, saying that they had interviewed 4 of the Satoshis, which was kind
Oh
of
wow.
one of the first ideas that it was this group. But there's a lot of theories, and no one knows for sure. But basically,
Right.
that
Right.
was the grandfather of crypto. That was the original.
Mm-hmm.
And then now we have thousands of other crypto coins, because now anybody can go and make them. I could make one, you could make one, you know, your grandpa could make one. Like, it just takes a couple clicks on the computer, and you can create your own currency. But The question is, does it have value? Is it providing a service to humanity? And does it do it better than one that already exists? And so basically where we're at with crypto is it's kind of like this free market now, where kind of like, anything else in the free market, the value is going to be decided by the people, and the supply and demand, right? So most cryptos have a finite supply. And so many are also deflationary. They have some kind of mechanism that slowly gets rid of the supply. And that's another attractive feature to it. So I know I kind of put out a lot there, but all in all, the idea is it's a decentralized currency that's run by the people for the people, and it's not a top-down system.
Yeah.
It's one that's kind of from the bottom up.
So yeah, so I know there's not a government or a centralized body that's going to control the supply of what it's worth. Because in investments, when you talk to people about anything, right? They'll have objections on things that really make your head spin. Like, that's what you're worried about, right? That doesn't make sense. And you walk them through it. But when you look at cash that they have, $100 bill, a 50, a 20, a 5, a 10, and a 1, they're all printed on the same paper. They're just telling you what it's worth. And when it's in the bank and inflation hits and your $100 bill is really only worth $75 or $66 or $50, no, you're not batting an eye, because and that's what started to really make me think of, like, you see the balance in the bank account, but you can't buy your $100,000 balance could only buy you $60,000 worth of products. You know that, but because you see the 100, you feel secure. But once that's a slippery slope. And when you look to getting to a CBDC where it is concentrated, and where if you vote for the wrong person or set up the wrong GoFundMe, they can say, yep, well, we'll turn your money off for this month. No electric for you and your kids. How's that? Right? It's just like, but it's like they're not. It's funny how the mind works. The psychology of it is really interesting, because you would think those people who are that the objections that come up about little nitpicky things on crypto or on gold, even with just gold, like the nitpicky little things. And I'm going like, but do you understand? Like, this is what you're in right now. The market's manipulated. Look what happened with AMC and Robinhood. I mean, that's all. It's we know this now, but they still move forward. You know what I mean? So it's incredible to me. But I think that's the biggest thing is that the decentralized exchanges it's really, like you said, you could actually become onto yourself, your own brokerage, your own bank. And it just the fees aren't there. We're not getting killed in fees. So it's just there's so many positives, and I think that's really what needs to be cleared up, moving forward. Because if more people understood that, we're not saying you put 100% of every, but you take a portion and protect yourself. And as you get better, you allocate more to what you're comfortable with. And so when they say crypto, or people could talk about Bitcoin, when they say you can buy some altcoins, what are they talking about? Because they're not talking about Bitcoin anymore.
Yeah. So altcoins are basically, so alt stands for alternative, and it's basically anything that's not Bitcoin. So, now kind of more colloquially, it means generally anything outside of like the top 10, 20 top coins. Like,
which
nowadays,
XRP is what, 3 or 5? I mean, isn't
XRP, it hovers around 5 currently. And like generally, people wouldn't call XRP an altcoin or Solana or like Binance, but it depends who you're talking to. But generally, it started as being anything that's not Bitcoin, because that was the first one, and then everything else was the alternative to Bitcoin. And there's even kind of tension within the crypto community itself. It's very tribal. Like, everybody agrees we need this new technology, but then everyone kind of disagrees about which project is going to do it the best, or which one deserves to be the one. And where I think this is going is that, we don't want like one crypto to do everything, because then we kind of wind up in the CBDC, slave-free banking world. Like, we don't want any centralization of power. So I think there's going to be like an ecosystem of cryptocurrencies that all have their own niche and their own utility and purpose, and they're all going to kind of interoperate. And there will, if I had to guess, there's probably going to be like 10 to 20 main cryptos at the end of the day. And, you know, right now there's like 20, 30,000 plus. So most of those are going to go away just because they don't provide something.
They're insignificant. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that's, you know, when I first started to learn, when I first looked into it, and I mean looked into it, like, I didn't do massive research. Just say, I was kind of half-assing it, you know.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking into it, but you know, when I'm looking into it, I didn't realize. I thought it was just like blips on a screen, but it, like you said, it's not. And you want to look at the ones that do. They have teeth. So, for instance, XRP, right? The amount of transactions it can do through, like, you know, through the whole platform, and we'll go through some of the other ones that are kind of in it. But you know, but that has real life, real time implications for shooting money that platform across the world within 2 seconds at minimal cost, you know, and you can shoot, you know, we'll get into it. It's pretty interesting, but it literally can make you your own bank. There's other ones that could provide a massive amount of bandwidth that we may need for the internet. If everyone's getting on the internet, streaming, virtual reality, it's going to take a lot more. So there's for that. And then I didn't, you know, again, realize that I got into it to a point where it started taking up a lot of my time, because I started reading on all of these coins and the shipping industry, on now the AI, you know, the artificial intelligence coins, gamers, the gaming coins. Then there's IPO coins they're going to come IPO. I was in shock. I thought that was only about stock, you know. But you start to get in this, like, you get the crypto bug. Yeah. But you know, it's funny. I never put it together though, because I just thought they were like coins. And that, you know, you don't get the coins; they're just held somewhere, like in a depository somewhere. But it just shows on like your balance, right? That you have so many XRP, not realizing that it's actual technology behind it. It's real world. So, like what you said is really important. You know, you can fool around here and there with some of the smaller, like the meme coins, but you want to get the coins or the programs like an XRP. And some of the other ones that are out there that actually are going to be a viable product moving forward, that's going to propel society. So I think that's a really good point. And I didn't connect that dot again until you went through some of the, with the corium and sologenic, and I was telling everybody, and I was mixing it up, obviously. Of course, I was telling people that this one does this and it could do, and then when I re-looked at it, I was like, holy shit, I said it backwards. Yeah, it was like, but I was so excited, and people saw it. I think that's contagious, I guess, when you're excited about it, because they will go, oh, I got to go look at this. You're really excited about it. I was like, I never heard anything like this. This is amazing. Why this should have been out? Yeah, I mean, a long time ago. Yeah,
I know, right?
Great. Yeah,
that's what I love. Is like there's a niche for everybody. Like no matter what your background is, if you're medical, if you're finance, if you're a gamer, if you're AI, computer science, like there's an application or a crypto for every application and niche. And it does get like a bug where you just go around and you're like, oh, it's going to influence this too. Like that could be huge. And oh, there's this industry over here that could be massive. And like what I found that I've been focusing on is the financial ones, like we're talking about, like XRP and the other ones, because from an investment standpoint, I think the financial ones are solving the biggest world problems that require the biggest amount of money, or that involve the largest amount of money, cross-border payments and things like that. And those are the ones that I think are really going to initiate this wealth transfer that people talk about in crypto, where there's going to be this massive transfer of wealth from, certain groups to other groups who are now investing in this new technology. Yeah.
And you know what? It'll be nice having the transfer of wealth instead of going from Main Street to Wall Street.
Yeah.
Going from Wall Street to Main Street. But and if you ever see the national debt, the world debt clock.
Yep.
And you see the one that has everything on it, or when you click on it, it gives you a background of something. Yeah. And I clicked on the monetary system on it, right? There was a link for that. And do you know, way back from the founders, way back that wrote the Constitution, they said the biggest threat that this Constitution is going to face and what America is going to face is the money people, right? Like the JP Morgans and all the money people, because whoever controls the money controls the world. And even back then, even as you know, as simple as time was back then, the foresight to see forward and go, not these guys, but these guys, they can be corrupted, and as you know, they gain power, and absolute power, you know, corrupts absolutely, and it's very true, and it's over and over again through history. But I was thinking, way back then they thought that, and they were saying, look, this is what we need, and look what's happening, how all the corruption, how everything moved forward. I thought it was really just interesting that long ago for them to have that foresight to to narrow it down to that industry, and it still happened, and they still did it. But it just, I thought it was really interesting, and something like crypto is like like a kryptonite, you know, for those people, because it's like, no, now you don't have control of me, you don't have a hold around my neck anymore. You know, now
it just saps away all their power. I mean, everything that they've centralized and gathered to control, it's like, now it's by the people, governed by the people.
Yeah, and then you could think that, and the you know, the fight that they're going to put up to retain power, because once you get power, what do you need to do? You need to keep it. Yeah, it's so, you know, you can see why. Then you see why. Well, that's why it didn't happen so long ago. That's why you know. But as time moves on, you know, it's coming more and more out into the public, and you just can't shut stuff down, you know, and without people fighting back at a certain point. So I just thought that was really interesting, that, you know, going that far back and to now where we're at, I think is an exciting time. And I think that really, in what we're talking about, and where crypto is, and where it started from, where it is today, and where it can go, we probably didn't see the technology that's going to be part of, or in complement to, the XRP, the Ripple platform, in complement with them. We probably haven't seen that technology yet. That's going to work in you know, in tandem with it, or, you know, or in complement with it, moving forward to really help us. So, you know, when you look at it, as crazy as the landscape is, the excitement for what could be, and how it's going to go, is just, I mean, my adrenaline starts to go, because I think it's going to be incredible. The time we're in today is like no other. And I think that this is going to really trend set moving forward. So I think we're in a really good spot. And I think that's why disseminating information like this, I think, is going to be, like I said, I really think it's going to be vital. I think it's an important thing. So, but, you know.
And on that note, real quick, I might be jumping the gun just a little, but I don't know if you know this, but the creator of XRP, David Schwartz, he said that he created XRP because he was banned from using PayPal. And so he got placed on some kind of terrorist watch list for some reason that was, you know, trivial or silly. It was like something stupid. And he said that was the inspiration, that we have to create a currency that, you know, people don't have to rely on the banks, that we can bank the unbanked, is what they always say. So it really is like, it's the people's tech.
Didn't Donald Trump Jr., didn't he say he can't bank anywhere? So they're
same.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's why they're making that World Liberty Financial is what the Trump project is called. That one is like, it's launching like right now, actually. I think maybe their initial investment opportunity is opening up in the next couple days. But unfortunately for that, you have to be an accredited investor, which I'm not. But if you are, then that would probably be a pretty good opportunity. Yeah, and I think eventually.
And look at when Trump decided to run, was when he was at that fundraiser or whatever it was, and Obama was speaking, and he was like, "You did, but you know what? But you were never president," and he dropped the mic, and then Donald Trump ran for president. So it's like the irony in that. And so and the same thing. Look what we did to Russia. We took them off the SWIFT system, right? Give them all these sanctions, and what they do? They go, okay, now we're not going to trade in the U.S. dollar anymore. We'll back the ruble with gold, and now they buy stuff in the ruble, and it did nothing. It did nothing. You know, because they're sick of using, us using the American dollar as a cudgel. But when you look at it, the irony of thinking you're going to slap somebody down, or you're abusing somebody or taking someone's rights away, and then the total counter happens, and you're just like, gosh, shit, I should have left well enough alone. Because now look,
well, they're digging their own hole basically right now, and they're trying to tell people, they're trying to scare people away from crypto while they're investing in it at the same time and creating these ETFs and these different ways for the institutions to be able to benefit from it, but they're still trying to scare people. And I'm assuming once they've got their fill on their, when their bags are full and they're happy, then they're going to start telling people, oh, this is the best, this, buy it, it's the future, blah, blah, blah. So you want to get it before the banks give you the big green light, because then it's too late.
Yeah, and you want to know just a similarity to draw a kind of a bridge to physical gold and silver. What I was doing is, when I started to look at some of the programs, you see that the short contracts, they suppress silver to a point that's where it can't move because of all the contracts they're shorting, and then they lease it to each other, so they never have to cover the shorts.
Yeah.
But they're suppressing the price. But when you look at who's buying it and how many tons of gold the reserve is buying, they're record breaking 800,000 tons. I mean a massive amount. And when you look at, but they're depressing the price, and so retail investors get nervous. They sell it back, and they're buying it because they're suppressing the price. Yeah, so you figure when they get their fills, they take the chains off, and it moves. So they're doing like the same. It's crazy. They run that same playbook. But like you said, hopefully, if people listen and start to do their research and pull the trigger a little bit and just get their feet wet, they'll be part of the surge with them. Moving up. And hopefully everything shakes out where there's some exposure of who's doing what. So ultimately we shake them out, and we just have we're just free of those, the people that are doing that.
I think ultimately too, like the banks are going to have to provide new services if they want to stay around. And I think one of those services is going to be that they're going to have to go back to being actual reserves of things like precious metals, so that they, that there's actually tangible goods there that can be used in certain financial services. Like, if we're going to use XRP as this new cross-border payment system to be able to move, say, gold kind of from one place to another, everybody has to have a reserve. So like, I might be getting ahead a little bit again here, but like with XRP, we kind of talked about a little bit how it's this new cross-border payment system and taking over SWIFT. I think one of the things you're going to be able to do with it is, say, go to your local bank. You're going to be able to take your gold or silver, and if you want to send that gold or silver to somewhere else in the world, you're going to be able to take it to your local bank. They're going to take that gold or silver, put it in their reserves in their vault, translate it to digital, put it into XRP, send the XRP to, say, England, China, wherever. They get the XRP in 2 to 4 seconds. They then liquidate that into physical gold. And then all of a sudden you've basically sent gold across the planet in a couple of seconds, which right now the fastest way to do that would be to fly it there, like on a plane. Right. So in that case, the bank.
So you're saying that if you're in America and I'm in Russia, and I say, Jayse, I need 2 ounces of gold really quick. You can get me actual physical gold in about 4 or 5 seconds.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Incredible.
So that's a major utility right there. That gives XRP a lot of value to be able to do that, because right now that's impossible.
Yeah, that's incredible, because that's how you become your own. Literally, you could become your own vault. Literally physical. That's incredible. And so, let's, if we continue on moving that. Do you think that XRP can actually be a payment system off planet?
Well, say again?
We're building. Elon wants to build something on Saturn or Mars, wherever he's going. He wants to build. He literally says by 2050 or something. We should be able to live there.
Yeah. And I mean, the Starship rockets that he's building right now are going to be able to take he wants to be able to move like thousands of people a day in these rockets, just like mass launches of them. I mean, that's a whole different thing within itself. But I think that Yeah, well, I mean, once we get, say, an established public colony on the moon, on Mars, they're going to have to be a part of our economy. Like, there's
Yeah.
going to have to be a way to include them in
Well,
the goods and
you may
services of
have to
trade.
send me money if I get in trouble on the moon, right? I mean,
Yeah,
if I call you
exactly.
from there, what's the difference? You still got to send it.
Exactly.
But and Starlink is his satellite,
Yeah,
right?
then that's what I was going to say next is the Starlink. I believe
Yeah.
that's very involved with this as well, because that basically with crypto you have nodes, and these nodes are like servers on a computer. It's code running, and these are the way that the transactions on the network get validated. So if a consensus among all the different nodes says this transaction is legitimate, then it goes through. If there's some kind of red flag and a couple of the nodes say no, this is fraudulent or something, then that transaction won't go through. That's the general way that crypto validates whether a transaction is good. So these nodes, for XRP, we know that there's a couple of them in nuclear bunkers, and supposedly there's also a couple already on satellites. And Elon has already said publicly that he wants to create a Doge node on a Starlink satellite, right? Because he's a big Doge guy. That's like his. Yeah, I think that's his way of opening the gates to the average person and making it this friendly, accessible thing, right? Because it's kind of a meme, which I think we're talking about memes a little later too, but it's kind of like the first meme. But I think these nodes are going to be existing on these Starlink satellites, and then that is how the transactions will be communicated from, say, here to the moon or here to Mars. And I think very easily it could be interplanetary. And then there's a lot of theories as well about, kind of like ET contact and trade and things like that, and how maybe different group, like maybe this technology of crypto isn't just a human thing. Maybe this is kind of a state of technology that different advanced civilizations kind of get to if they have a financial system. And very possibly, maybe this will help open up trade with different galactic neighbors that we're unaware of right now. I know that's some of the theories that are being put out there.
Yeah, but it is interesting because we can look at everything where sometimes we can't see past our nose, and so we look just so short term. But when you look at, I mean, you have to look at the advancements that what's happening, and when you see someone like an Elon who is like a mad genius, like I mean, the guy thinks far different than you or I. I mean, he just he's on it. He may be an alien.
He's on a different level.
Yeah, and so when you look at what he's trying to do, like with Starlink, right, and now he's coming out with his $100 Tesla cell phone that's hooked up to Starlink, and then a laptop that'll be hooked up to Starlink, and if that's connecting all around, then that's and he wants to move people, right? So the systems all have to be in place, right? There's got to be a financial system. So going out, you can look at it and go, okay, you're talking about ETs, and that's great. But when you really look at it, we're trying to do certain things, though. Nobody would have thought we would have had a fully electric car, 20, 30 years ago if you didn't know, way back when, right? But so many things are coming about that we would have never even thought about. And now all of a sudden, not only are they in our field, our perception, but we're actually utilizing them now. So when you look at it, if you can stretch your mind, a little bit out there and kind of get that imaginary, like that kid-like imaginary, juice flowing in your brain. When you look at it, it's really not so crazy, and it's actually something where be in the forefront a little bit and kind of open up your mind. Cause I think, and it's exciting. I think growth, it's boundless, really, what we can do. So, and I think that's going to be cool.
There's going to be a lot of other applications to blockchain as well, because blockchain is like an even broader technology than crypto. To put it simply, like crypto is one kind of application of blockchain. Crypto is the currency financial part of it, but blockchain, with basically the idea of blockchain is it's a decentralized ledger. So anything that you would have a ledger for, a list of information, whether it's real estate, banking, elections is a big one. So like just today, I got an email from this crypto company called Stronghold, which is one that I'm really interested in and invested in as well. They have a token called SHX, and Stronghold is also in the financial world. partnered with Ripple. There's cross funding going on. Ripple's invested in Stronghold, and basically Stronghold is trying to bring crypto to the ACH rails, which is automated clearinghouse, like bank transfers. So like, you know, for people watching, like if you ever look at your bank statement and you see like ACH transfer or things like that, like it's one of the common banking kind of rails. So they want to bring crypto to that and basically, you know, potentially, I think, run all the ACH on blockchain so that it has this security and technology behind it. And I just got an email from them today where they were like talking about securing elections with blockchain, which is something that I knew years ago they were working on with XRP. There was this group called Votes at MIT, and they were working to use XRP to have elections in some way. But this is like, yeah. So I don't know how exactly XRP would be used, but they were using it somehow. It was part of their experiment. But the Stronghold email I got yesterday, they were talking about that, and it's one of the only times that I've heard during this election cycle any crypto group talk about stopping election fraud. And I had been waiting for and watching for any of these groups, specifically Stronghold, to say anything regarding the election or like if anything like that happened. And then they put this out and I was like, wow, that's so interesting. Like, you know, they're talking about securing elections, and it makes me wonder if they plan on using this token SHX to be a part of that, because why else would they make content about it and talk about it unless they have some kind of plan to go with it?
You know, you wonder with XRP, when you look at the technology, and let's say XRP, 100% of XRP has 50 different technologies within it to make it XRP. Maybe they pull out, 15 of those technologies, and that's going to be the base that can be good for to protect vote, elections, and then add in whatever other technology they may need to make it a complete voting, to protect votes. You know what I mean? So that's probably what.
Totally.
So wow, that's
because if everything was on blockchain with an election, it would be totally transparent. You know, you wouldn't be able to have like obvious voter fraud and have people hack it, and you would literally
change people change your vote around.
That's
pretty good. Wow, that would be amazing. Just think, people who are dead won't be able to vote.
Exactly, right? Yeah, good solution.
Yeah, that's crazy that's happening. But yeah, no, that's exciting. I got to look into that the Stronghold too and check it out.
Yeah.
A couple of things too is what I found interesting in going through your course too is, most people, even investing in the markets though, a very small percentage of people bring up, if they own a stock that doesn't move too much, is it getting at least a dividend to get some passive income, because it's not a big mover, or how can you generate? So like, with buying options against it, so at least when they expire worthless, you're getting the premium that someone bought an option on your stock, whatever, something like that. And so getting a passive income and doing things like that, I think it's so underutilized in almost every other facet of investing. And people, no one will ask about it either, because it's just not on their radar, because all we think about is, if I buy something at 5, I want it to go to 10, right? But with some of with the Ripple platform let's talk about that. There are, and we don't have to we'll save some, but there is ways to do that, right? With whether it's where you're making interest, or the liquidity pool, whatever it may be. But when it comes to that, what is some of the percentages that you can see, obviously approximate, but with how would that even, work? Because that would be amazing if we can start to have people see that the real power in that.
Yeah. So basically, what you're talking about is the like basically the decentralized interest generation that you can get. So like, typically, as you know, and as most other people who have a bank account know, if you're making your interest in your bank account, it's going to be tiny fractions, right? Like 1%, 2%, maybe 3 or 4 if you're lucky.
You're lucky,
and then inflation and everything else just wrecks it at the end of the day, right?
Yep.
It's it's like you're lucky if you're even getting 1% with inflation and everything. So with crypto, there are many ways that you can generate basically passive income in one form or another. There's different technologies. The most famous and the most used is one called staking technology. So if you ever hear people say, oh, I'm staking my crypto for passive income, that's what they're talking about. And it's like, it's a particular type of crypto technology where you're actually, in the case of staking, you're actually supporting the consensus of the network itself. So you're basically lending your tokens to the network. It's not to any centralized group or person or anything. You lend them to the network itself, and it helps in the verification process of transactions and of maintaining the network and its security. And so in return, you get a reward for providing your tokens, and that's the staking reward. So like Ethereum would be the most popular one. Ethereum's the #2 crypto right now. And it's where most of the pop culture stuff is happening, especially with like the internet and, internet culture and stuff. A lot of that's happening over there. Also Solana. But these financial coins like XRP, Sologenic, Corium, Flare, there's Stronghold, there's a bunch of them. They are also basically integrating new ways to do staking and other forms of passive income, like liquidity pools, which are where you provide liquidity to the platform, say to a decentralized exchange, where typically an exchange is run by a for-profit company. And if you buy crypto on an exchange, they're taking a percentage for profit for themselves and all that. In opposition to that, you can have these decentralized crypto exchanges, which is like what Sologenic is, where the trades happening are coming from automated order books. They call them automated market makers, and then these liquidity pools where people are providing liquidity to the platform for people to buy and sell. And then you can get a percentage of that. And then there's things like yield farming, where you can do other kinds of staking. And there's a lot in it. But I would say percentage wise, it depends. Like new projects will generally have a much higher percentage in the beginning. So if you can get involved in some of these projects early on, that's where people can make a lot of money from these, interest and staking and things like that. Sometimes you see those near 100% APY or more, like really crazy. But I would say once projects have kind of averaged out, anywhere from like 5 to 20% is kind of the average. And I know that's kind of a big margin. But it depends on basically the more users, slowly that percentage will go down because there's more people to spread out the rewards to.
Risk reward.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So if you get in early to a project, more risk, but more reward with it too.
Right. So when you, so the one where the fees that the exchange collects that you make a percentage of, are those the liquidity pools or the staking?
That's the liquidity pool where you provide the liquidity in the form of your crypto. You provide the liquidity to the exchange. That one is kind of a little more higher risk, the liquidity pools for the average person. I would say that's a little more of an advanced crypto user thing, at least right now. So to give some other numbers, Corium is the main one that we're using for passive income in the Conscious Crypto Academy right now. And that one is around 25%. And that's actually really high compared to other projects for it being a more established project and not being just this brand new thing. But it started out at like 50% APY, and it's kind of averaged around 20 to 25 right now.
So if you look at it a different way and you see it was like, say it was at 50 and went down to 25, you can look at it and say, okay, I'm making less interest. You're still making a massive amount of interest, by the way. But the other thing is, when that's happening, can you look at it and say, that's awesome because it's growing. That means there's more people getting in it, which is lowering the risk of it, meaning it's a quality product to have, right? That's a good way, that's the way you would look at it.
So the risk is kind of going down, but the security and the investment's going up. And then the value of the investment itself is going to increase because of that, right? So crypto is like a stock or like gold and silver where, you know, like you're saying, it has volatility. So the more eyes that are on it, the more people coming in, the more demand, that price is going to go up. And
it's going to go up. Yeah. So it's a good way to, yeah. So when I try to find, like, I always look at the good part of it, and I look at it and go, because some people will be like, oh, I'm making less, but you're in a more secure, and you actually own it. So you have appreciation, plus you're still making a massive amount of interest, because where are you going to get that? Nowhere.
And
so
compounding interest in that. It's compounding too. You can, and this is with most cryptocurrencies, when it comes to rewards and interest, you can claim them pretty often. So with Corium, you could go in and claim it every day, multiple times a day. You know, you could see the micro transactions add up in every moment. And that's where like payroll is going too. You know, for most jobs, I think people will get paid via cryptocurrency. Not that they're going to get paid in crypto, but that the liquidity, the value transfer from bank to bank is going to happen with cryptocurrency as the background engine for it. And so I think very soon people are going to be able to have an app for their work, and they'll get paid through the app, and you'll be able to see your payments come in like every second. So you see, oh, I just made $1, I just made 50 cents or whatever it is. And it won't be this like wait for your check every 2 weeks kind of culture that we have right now.
That's kind of incredible too, because you just think about when you're getting rewarded for your work more often, but you're probably getting dopamine hits, right? You're probably, because you did something, now you're getting your reward, but you're getting, and you think the production of work would be better because you're actually seeing the reward for what you're doing real time. So I think that would be good on the
more
level.
even. Yeah, it feels more balanced.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not like, oh, I'm doing all this work for, you know, I got to wait 2 weeks to see that money hit my account. No, it hits your account now. And then, you know, the possibilities are endless for how that could be applied using crypto and decentralized finance, which would allow you to generate maybe multiple forms of interest on what you're making from your job in real time. Like maybe you're able to stake that immediately, or maybe you're able to put it into some kind of yield farm, you know, tool. And, you know, sometimes you can generate multiple of passive income.
Imagine that if you can get your paycheck, and instead of just seeing deduction, it moves right into a yield farm, right? Somewhere you're making, and all of a sudden you see, you know, appreciation, and you see it, you know, moving up. And if you know what it makes me think of, on the Cash App, you can buy, you know, Bitcoin, and you can buy, you know, so like if I have it sitting just in the Cash App, it's not making anything, right, in cash. But if I put it in Bitcoin, and Bitcoin was at 60,000 and went to 62,000, you know, I had $500 say in the cash, you know what I mean? So, but it's at least it's moving, and it's kind of like the vehicle behind it, you know, where it's and then you know, so that's what it reminded me of as you were saying that. I was thinking about it, like I anytime I have anything in my cash, I just move it over. That's because that's what's available to buy. Because I'm on your program with I think the Ripple platform is amazing. I think that's going to be, you know, a big, you know, the thing moving forward. But that's what it reminded me of, having it in big. And I got, actually, you know, my wife finally got the Cash App. That's how quickly we move with technology. She just got the Cash App. But now, as I put them, I told her, I said, buy Bitcoin with it, hold it in Bitcoin. You know, that's what's, you know, in there. And she, you know, and a lot of people don't even realize it, because I saw it. I thought they were just going to tell me about Bitcoin. I didn't realize you can move it into it. But it's same thing. If you have something where your paycheck is into whatever you make, and it gives you freedom to do whatever with it, that's great. And then you're making passive income on your income. Because, you know, one thing, just on a side note, I heard a guy explain, and it's a really good way to connect dots. When, you know, cycle 1, cycle 2, cycle 3, cycle 4 money. So cycle 1 money is you go to work and you get your paycheck. That's cycle 1. You never want to pay any bills or do anything out of your cycle 1 money if you can hold off on it. What you want to do is pay yourself first, right? So let's say you put it into Corium, right? And you did the liquidity pool, right? And you're getting, say, you're making the 25%. Out of the 25% on whatever your bulk of money that you put in there, that's cycle 2 money. So if any, now your cycle one money just made some money, cycle two. Now, if you wanted to pay something or buy something out of cycle two, it's better. But let's say now, if you didn't even use your cycle two money yet, and you go to cycle three, which let's say now you put it into a yield farm, now you're using your cycle three money to buy stuff, because now you're making money, and that money that you made off your first money, now you're making, you know what I mean? And so when he put it that way, it was you know, I always try to find ways when I'm talking to somebody about that to kind of put it in a way where it's more simplified, because it can start to get, you know, convoluted. And so I thought that was a great way to, you know, it's a great way to put it, where if you look at, you know, with cycle one, cycle two, and if you use it with, you know, as crypto, because if you look at, if you were just say, you know, kind of briefly, what's the benefit of crypto in an investment portfolio that you're in all the traditional, right? You're in a CDs at the bank, and you have an annuity here, and you have some stock market investments and your 401k. And now you're seeing, you know, the markets that, you know, looks like we're going to take a good hit. Real estate's probably going to take a hit. It's been going up, you know. So if, like, say, moving into, like, say, another 2008 scenario, you know, when you look at, you know, the physical gold and silver, and then when you look at where crypto is and what that can provide, especially with the environment of all the craziness going on with the corruption, where it can help. So if you were to tell somebody this is why you want crypto to be part of your portfolio, I'm not saying all of it, but this is why, you know, over, and even on a global scale, but really, what would be the benefit to an investment portfolio, at least having 20% of it, say, in a good, strong crypto?
Well, it's a hedge against the central banks and the US dollar and national currencies in a way. So if anything like 2008, or, you know, God forbid, if there's like an international financial crisis or collapse, it's a hedge against that, because this is the technology that will and is the solution to the problems with that system. So if you're someone that's in that world and you're like, crypto seems risky and dangerous, if you're in the traditional financial world, and that's what most financial advisors will say too, as I'm sure you know, they're going to say, don't do that, that's too risky. But it's a hedge against the rest of the system. So it's good to, I think, have at least a little bit, because if something happens to the US dollar, to these, you know, big mega financial institutions, BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, you know, your mutual funds, like all that stuff, it's a hedge against that collapsing. And also now, you know, a lot of these, as we were saying, these banks and these mega institutions are adopting and investing in it. So now there's ETFs, which is an exchange traded fund for people watching. That's basically what allow, and you would know this better than me, you could probably explain it a lot better, but it's what allows the average person or investors with these groups to have this be in their portfolio, to have crypto be a part of their portfolio without directly investing in it. So now, like, if your parent or your grandma or your sister or your friend, if they have a mutual fund, now they might be exposed to crypto within that mutual fund, and they don't even know it, because it's just a part of that bag now.
And just really where the ETFs came in, they're like mutual funds, but they trade like stock. Where mutual funds, you can never trade like stock, because you liquidate at the net asset value at the end of the day. So if you saw your mutual fund like just getting slammed, you got to sit there all day and eat it until the end of the day, and then it would sell. Where an ETF, you can at least move in and out of. But when I saw that the ETFs coming out with, you know, with the Bitcoin ETF, and they're, you know, it's probably going to get more and more popular where they're going to do that. You just look at it, and the people, you know, the same kind of where the messaging is coming from to keep everybody in fear about it. Now they're going to start to profit off it, and I think and I just think no matter how the more exposure it gets, I think it's going to be the same thing where they're probably doing it more out of greed, but there's going to be an ironic effect. There's going to be an unintended effect that they don't realize they're going to have on people, because they're going to get exposure to it. And just maybe another 5% of the population wakes up to it. Not even just 5%. It's a good sized number, and it starts to create a ripple effect. You know, so I just think, you know, I feel like all roads are going to lead, no matter what or who tries to do what. I think they're all going to go different paths, but we're all going to end up going down the same path eventually. And I think it's going to be sooner than later right now. I think we're heading there real quick.
Yeah,
So
I
I
think
think it's
in the
really
next few
exciting.
years, yeah, it's gonna happen fast.
Yeah. Right. And yeah. So and I if you can not only be, you know, part of it in something like, say, if you're part of it in the ETF, more power to you, and God bless, because at least you'd be having some exposure. But man, if you can own some and then start to create those passive streams of income
Yeah,
with it, I mean, sky's the limit. And I think really one of the big things, with when it comes to like with staking and the liquidity pools and yield farms, I think actually, once you get to the point where you're actually looking to do something like that, you have a grasp on it, at least moderately
yeah,
understand what you're looking at. But to actually go and do it is a far different thing, because
yeah.
it's just not so cut and dry to go and do it. And
Mhm.
where you have to go, and if an exchange does a staking, or if it, and that's what in the beginning, that's what caught me up, because I figured, oh, I understand it now. Let me go, and I was just like, I don't know what to do. So I
Mhm.
had to go and look. I had to go back and look at some videos. But
And that's a good. I think it's important to bring up private wallets here too, with the make your own bank and the security side of
mhm,
it, because
yes,
you were talking about Cash App and like Robinhood, and there's like Coinbase and these different crypto.com, these big exchanges. And for new crypto investors, for people that are watching, I think it's important to understand the value and responsibility of holding that crypto yourself. And most of the time, to do these passive income protocols like the staking and the liquidity pools and things like that, you're going to need to self custody it. And so when
mhm.
we're talking about like being your own bank and things like that, that comes from the self custody, which is you basically have a let me see if I have one. uh I don't have one here with me, but basically they're these little devices that are kind of like a USB. They come in different shapes and sizes, but they're little devices you can plug into your computer and your phone.
You want me to go?
Like
I have a Decent wallet.
Decent, yeah,
You want me
Decent's
to,
my favorite.
you want me to
Um,
grab it?
yeah, if you got it there, yeah. I thought I
Yes,
had
I
it.
got it right here.
Oh, I have a different one right here. Here's a Trezor. Um, this is another brand. Well, this is obviously just the box, but the actual wallet's not in there. But Ledger is another popular
Oh, come
brand.
on.
Um, basically, this is one of the first things that we teach people in Conscious Crypto Academy is how to withdraw your crypto from these exchanges and put them on a private wallet where you own them. Because if they're on one of these exchanges, those exchanges are like a bank, where if that exchange goes bankrupt or they get hacked or something like that, your crypto can be used for bailout for that company. And did you find it?
So we just moved. I couldn't find.
Oh
It's in a
yeah.
box, and I don't want to go through all the boxes.
Here, I
But
got a
I like.
different one. What's that?
Yeah, I think you showed us the Decent. You were telling us about it, and yeah, I love the Decent wallet. Is really, you have
This
a
is a different
fingerprint
one.
to get in. What is
This is
that? The
the
treasure?
ledger. This
The
is the
ledger.
ledger.
Okay.
The Trezor, I got the box for here. But yeah, there's a bunch of different brands. Decent, ironically, I don't have it right here, but that one is my favorite one. That's the one I teach about.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah,
that's
like
why we
so,
got it.
the FTX collapse. Do you remember hearing about that like 2 years ago
Yeah,
or something now?
Sam Bankman-Fried.
Yeah, Sam Bankman-Fried and all that. So most people, I think, heard about that in some regard. It was all over the place, right? And
Mm-hmm.
FTX was the biggest crypto exchange at the time. They had all
Mm-hmm.
the biggest deals. They had Super Bowl ads. They were on magazine covers. They had all these celebrity sponsorships. And, they were doing fraudulent stuff. They collapsed. People lost millions. Some people lost billions of dollars. Average people lost thousands, hundreds of thousands. But that happened because it was on this public exchange where you don't own the crypto itself.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a phrase in the crypto community. They say, not your keys, not your crypto. And when you
Mm-hmm.
sign up for one of these wallets, you get something called private keys, which are a long string of numbers and letters or words that you write down. And if you don't have that, then it's not technically a crypto. Whoever has those passwords, they own the crypto, because there's not really any legal clarification for this right now, because the
Mm-hmm.
you know, the SEC and everything else has made it such a gray area regulation wise. So we teach people how to get it onto their wallets right away, because it's, I believe, way more at risk on one of these exchanges, because you're subject to them having financial issues and going down and all that. And, you know, with Canada too, with that trucker rally that happened a couple years ago, you know, they tried to go across the country, all the truckers, the government shut down their bank accounts, they shut down their Robinhoods, and they shut down their crypto exchanges, like Coinbase, crypto.com, you know, all these ones, because they're private companies. So the government can come to them and say, hey, shut it down, and they can't do anything about it. But when you have it on a wallet, they can't take it from you. No matter how much they want to take it, they literally physically cannot, unless, you know, they have those keys.
Yeah.
So,
and so you don't want to give, you ever, no one should be asking you for the keys. No one should be asking for the tags, the addresses of that needs to be very, very private and protected. And the best way to protect it, like Jay said, is on those the hardware wallet that you can pull it right off your computer. You put it in your safe, or wherever you store it in your, wherever you store it. And it's really not at risk. So, and security really is, when you go to the bank, I worked at the banks, there's massive regulation, and a lot of it is for protection of whether it's information or, you name it. And there's a massive amount of custody, dual controls, and all these different names. It's all for custody. So as much as it, which is a great point, Jayse, if you're going to be a bank, if you're going to be your own brokerage, if you're going to do these things, then you have to take that accountability, and you have to protect you. It's the same thing. You're doing it, and you have to protect your stuff. So you have to take it very seriously, like we would expect our financial institutions to protect our information with. We need to be protective of ourselves, and sometimes we don't look at it that way. You don't look at, what I mean? So I think that's a great point. So, but I think that's a really a good place to kind of to wrap up and here. And I just want you guys, when you're going through this, really listen to some of the things you can do, and we'll move forward. And moving forward, as you send you can send some questions in, and I'll put all that information out there, and I'll put some links up. But you could ask some specific questions through the lives. But when you do watch the video, and you see this, there's a lot of little diamonds in the rough that we're talking about, and whether it's regular finance or moving into the crypto space, and some of the things that Jayse is speaking about, it really is the foundation that'll give you a strong foundation to build that house on, and really complement whatever you have going on now. So it's something that I would say take very seriously. And as we go, not this Tuesday coming, but the next Tuesday, we'll be doing a live, and we're gonna start to advance at a little bit more of a faster rate to start moving into some information that you can really start to take advantage of. And so again, I think this is going to be something that is going to be vital moving forward. And I just appreciate you guys out there. Jayse, it was good to hang out with you for an hour. I look forward to doing this. And do you have anything, any takeaways you would like to share before we get off?
Yeah, just tune into the next one. Hopefully, we said some things that were of value, and that you're able to learn from this, and, for different experience levels. And I think it's an important subject to be paying attention to right now, especially if you're struggling financially, or if the opposite, if you have a lot of money and you're trying to figure out, what am I going to do with this? Because I see everything going on in the world. This is a good way to kind of hedge against, like what we were saying, hedge against the collapse of certain, types of currencies and financial paradigms. So I think for everyone, it's a valuable thing, especially if you believe in sovereignty and freedom of speech and freedom of finances. They're all connected. So
and what I'll say is, when you look at, Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, they're the greats, and they had coaches. Whether you have a lot of money or a little money, when you look at it, having a coach in crypto or any type of anything you do in life I think is very, very important. And what I'll do is, again, we're going to add some links in there. And again, Jayse is a great resource to to learn from. A great program that he's put together, and I think it's evolving into actually is going to be something a little more even better. You're trying to evolve it into something different, which I think. I mean, it's a great program already. So I'm really interested to see what you do with it. But really, he's a great resource with that. So we'll put the links. I'll put the links in the comment section. But other than that, I appreciate everyone watching. Jayse, good hanging out with you, and I will talk to you next time. Okay.
All right. We'll see you soon.
Have a good one, my man. Bye bye.
Take care.
All right.